All right, welcome to day one of your AZ-900 Fast Track. In just the next few minutes, we are going to absolutely master the core concepts of Azure Cloud Computing. This is the foundation for literally everything else you're going to learn. These ideas can make or break your exam, so we're going to make them crystal clear. So let's dive right in. So do you ever feel like you're just drowning in a sea of Azure acronyms? Terms like IaaS, PaaS, Scalability, Elasticity. Yeah, you are definitely not alone. It's a super common feeling, but I promise you, that confusion ends today. By the end of this short session, you are going to have a rock-solid mental framework to not only understand these terms, but to see them coming a mile away in exam questions. Let's build that framework together, right now. Okay, first up, we're talking about the why. Before we get into what the cloud is, we need to understand why businesses are practically falling over themselves to adopt it. And it all comes down to a really powerful set of benefits that solve major real-world problems. To really get this, let's look at two classic scenarios. First, imagine a huge online store, and it's bracing for that massive Black Friday rush. Now, picture a small startup. They just launched a viral ad campaign that could either totally explode or, well, just fizzle out. Two very different situations, right? They have very different needs. And this is the absolute perfect way to understand scalability versus elasticity. Think of scalability like building a wider highway for a city that's getting bigger. You're planning for that long-term sustained growth. Elasticity, on the other hand, is more like opening and closing toll booths based on the traffic right now. That startup needs elasticity to handle a sudden, unpredictable spike without paying for a bunch of servers that are just sitting empty tomorrow. Okay, exam alert. This is a guaranteed topic on your test. They will give you a scenario and make you choose between these two. So here's the key. If the question talks about long-term, predictable growth, if you see keywords like growing user base, your answer is scalability. If it mentions variable demand or sudden, unpredictable spikes, you're looking at elasticity. It's that simple. Now, beyond those two, there are other huge benefits. Agility means you can innovate way faster. You don't have to wait weeks for a new server to be delivered and set up. Fault tolerance and high availability, those are your safety nets. They keep your services online even when a piece of hardware fails. And disaster recovery, that's your comeback plan for when a whole data center goes down. Each of these solves a massive business headache. So, now that we've got the why completely sorted, let's move on to the what. As in, what are you actually buying when you use the cloud? And this is where the different service models come into play. Honestly, this is the best analogy you're going to get. Think of infrastructure as a service, or IaaS, like leasing a plot of land. You get the land, the foundation, but you have to build everything on top. Platform as a service, PaaS, is like leasing a house that's already been framed. The structure is there, and you get to focus on the fun stuff, the interior design, your code. And software as a service, or SaaS, is like renting a fully furnished apartment. You just bring your stuff, move in, and start living. And that whole analogy leads us directly to maybe the most critical concept in this whole section, the shared responsibility model. Because the big question the exam is going to ask you, over and over in different ways, is simply this: who manages what? This table here breaks it down perfectly. Just notice, you are always responsible for your own applications and your data. But as you move from left to right, from IaaS to PaaS to SaaS, the cloud provider, Microsoft in this case, takes on more and more of that management burden. With IaaS, you're managing the operating system. With PaaS, they handle the OS for you, so you can just focus on your code. And with SaaS, well, they manage everything. It's a simple trade-off between control and convenience. And here it is, another exam alert. The test absolutely loves to throw scenarios at you for this. So if you see a question and it mentions a company wanting to host virtual machines and manage their own Windows or Linux OS, that is a giant flashing neon sign for IaaS. If the story is about a developer who just wants to deploy their code and not worry about patching the server underneath, you need to immediately think PaaS. All right, we've nailed the why and the what. The final piece of our framework is the how. How and where are all these cloud resources actually deployed? This brings us to the deployment models. You've basically got three main flavors here. Public cloud, that's the one you probably know best. It's shared infrastructure, pay as you go, absolutely perfect for startups. Private cloud is the total opposite. It's hardware that's dedicated to just one organization, so you get maximum control and security. Think governments, big banks, and then there's hybrid cloud, which, you guessed it, is the best of both worlds. It lets you keep your super sensitive data on-premise while still using the massive power of the public cloud. And there's a fourth model you need to be aware of: Multi-cloud. This is really simple. It's just when a company decides to use services from more than one public cloud provider, say using Azure for its awesome AI services and another provider for something else. The big reason for doing this? Flexibility and avoiding being locked into just one company. Okay, final exam alert for today, so listen closely. When you see an exam question that combines two very specific needs, one, it mentions strict rules about where data has to be stored, like for compliance or data sovereignty, and two, it also mentions needing the massive scale of the public cloud, the answer is almost always hybrid cloud. It's the have your cake and eat it too solution for those exact scenarios. All right, deep breath. Let's lock in everything we just learned with a rapid fire review. These are the absolute key ideas you need to have down cold for exam day. No long explanations, just the facts. Let's go. The why? Scalability. You plan for growth. Elasticity. You react to spikes. Fault tolerance. Survive a component failure. Disaster recovery. Recover from a total outage. And agility. Innovate faster. Got it? Good. The what? IaaS. You manage the operating system for maximum control. PaaS, you manage just the app and data, so you can focus on code. SaaS, the provider manages absolutely everything. It's ready to use. And finally, the how. Public, shared resources, pay as you go. Private, dedicated resources for maximum control. And hybrid, the best of both worlds, giving you total flexibility. And that's it. You've done it. You now have a solid framework for the core concepts of Azure. You know the why, the what, and the how. Just take a second to let that sink in because you are officially ready for day 2. We'll see you there.